Alright, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Harakah Kadash. Don't want to see apostles and elders, great Musa and rule well, and Shalom to the brothers pushing this truth, pushing this word to the four corners. You know, doing the work, man, in all sincerity. Shalom. We're out here once again, same old, man, week in, week out. So the time as such, as it's no longer possible, you know, until the time of the famine of the word. We're going to be out pushing this word, man. We're here in London once again. Here to prophesy the downfall, the end of the current rulership, the present kingdom that's, you know, ruled by the so-called white man. The kingdom of America, the EU, the Edomite power structure, man. And that's been a heavy spirit this week. Just going into the prophecies, going into the breakdowns, and going into how this place, you know, this current rulership, known as, you know, Europe, known as America.
Babylon the Great in the Bible.
Yeah, Babylon is known as Babylon the Great in the Bible. And what America's known as Babylon the Great in the Bible. And it's going to be brought to a destructive end by nuclear fire.
I'll go through that. It's the book of Matthew, 24 and 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
Gone. It's going to be, this word's basically going out to the four corners, and then the end's going to come. Because why? This is about prophecy being fulfilled. It's about the word going out. That's why what the word prophet means to say before. That's what our job's to do, to go out and say before it happens, hey look, these things are going to go down. And that's why, like, when you go into the world now, no one's really looking for the destruction or the end of America, of the present rulership over here. No one's thinking that a nuclear war is actually going to break out. People might think, okay, there's little skirmishes going on around China, Russia, whatever, Iran, the Middle East, but they're not thinking, okay, look, it's going to be a mass scale war on the scale of World War I, World War II. But that's what we're saying. We're saying these things are spoken of in the scriptures, and these things are going to come to pass.
But Romans 10 and 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him in whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah saith, Lord, you have believed our report. Verse 17. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Most High. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily, their sound went out into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world.
Yeah. But as far as to the elect, well, the key thing this is all about is the elect, man. Yahweh shine the elect. But this is the fact that what we're doing by going out, by prophesying, by preaching about what's to come, we're basically speaking that same word, the word which is Yahweh Shai, and those that know him, just as in times past, they're going to be roused up and woken up to this word, man. And they're basically going to save themselves through coming into the gospel and basically taking up a shovel. Taking up a shovel. What is it? Is it a shovel? Yeah. Because I was like, specifically, basically taking up a position as a workman and putting in the work.
Luke 9 and 62. And Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High.
Yeah, it's about the plow. Well, we're out here working, man. That's why you have the parable of the sower. The seeds have been sowed, and there's various circumstances they're down for. For the elect, it's those that they found. I'd have to read it to remember the exact wording. Or the good seed. No, I'd have to read it because I can't even remember the exact wording. Yeah, receive the seed into the good ground. That's it. So it's basically about the elect as those that receive the seed in the good ground. And then they'll basically get their office, and they'll be whatever level they're at, however many they're meant to bring in, whatever volume of work they're meant to take up, they'll take up. And that's what this is all about. It's about waking up the elect, and then once the elect all sealed, then hey, this place gets put on smash. That's the main thing, is waking up the elect and ending this place. This is current rulership, but hey, and as with all previous rulership, it's not eternal. It's not been made. There's one thing that's going to be eternal, but this place does not fulfill any of the prophecies that actually taken place. The fact that hey, where's King David at? Where's the nations haven't made peace? Where's New Jerusalem? All the prophecies haven't been fulfilled. There are things which are still yet to come, and that includes the kingdom of heaven. But what it also says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's being built within those men. Revelation 18. And 7. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Yeah, this present rulership, they kind of have a term for like different terminologies for like the stages of an empire. And then they always have one where it's decadence, where it basically just becomes super self-indulgent, super lavish, just wasteful and well, that's a word, self-indulgent. This is what men will be lovers of themselves. All this is basically that phase, and that's, you can see, has taken place over here. This is why you have people indulgent. A good example is obesity. Because like in America, I think it's like what 50-60%, certain absurd, like way over 50% of people in the Americas, they're overweight. And so, a lot of those are to the point of where they're high risk of just dropping dead, man. And these things, this is a sign of that decadence. People are in such they're in such a slothful state to where all they're thinking about is going around and finding any means of pleasure they can have. And that's why the lockdown jacked people up so hard. People are basically sustained by what? By being able to go out and enjoy themselves, going out on the weekend, going on holidays, going to enjoy different forms of entertainment, going to the theatre, going to the cinema, going out to eat, all these different things. And that's how, as well, you've got the system of control these elites have used. This is why, that juice is able to get pushed so easily. Because why? You say like, hey, look, you're not going to be able to do X, Y, Z unless you get down with it. Then people will jump on it hella easy. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. The strong is the Most High power who judgeth her. Yeah, the plagues are going to come swift. This is what? Death and mourning and famine. These are things that people don't want to deal with. And that's the thing as well. People are so bugged out, and it's basically the lifestyle, mainly here, chiefly here in the West, has become so lavish. People think hardship is a thing that ceases to exist. People that basically had it super easy, they're in the mindset of like they're expecting everything to just continue to work out as it was. That's 2 Peter 3. Since the Father slept, everything's continued as it was. They've basically been able to continue their life as far as they see it, unimpeded. Because for them, they're ignorant. They're not paying attention to prophecies. They're not seeing what's going around on the planet Earth. They don't understand. They're being walked into a scenario. They have no information on, man. They don't see it as that. They just see it as like, oh, this is just life. That's like the Quran was. It's basically been baked into society Like this is just natural. So it's completely normal for this to go down. Because why? Everyone's in the same mindset of they're all basically just bought into whatever has been sold. And that's why it's the market. The biggest marketing arm of Esau Edom is Hollywood. And Hollywood basically creates the whole mythos of America as some grand, amazing land. When you go into different eras of film, they're always aggrandizing, how, the American frontier, when they first came over. Even though it was that period of time, they were making all kinds of films where you basically have like an Edomite come in amongst the natives and then learn their customs, and then he would just become the greatest out of them and just save them from Esau coming over or whatever. Like there was like the Last Samurai, what's it called? There's the one that I know, I'm going to the Last Mohicans? I think so. I think Last Mohicans. There's a few others, but it's like the white savior complex is what they call it in cinema, where it's basically like Esau comes in and then he's just, is so in tune with whatever these tribes are doing, and he realizes, I can save them. That's the whole marketing on where everyone's basically been indoctrinated with that image, man. With all the lies, all the beliefs that are basically being spread chiefly by America. And that's why everyone's in the same mindset, man. When you have people growing up in the same generation, they'll watch the same TV shows, they all went out, they watched the same movies, went to the same school, learned the same curriculum, all these things. They only know a certain little bubble of things, and that's what they think of the world. That's their little life experience. It's like people growing up in the hood. But then what? That in reality, you're basically just being kept in a certain mindset. Because you go back 300, 400, 500 years, there was people thinking completely different.
1 John 2:15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh keeps me. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world,
the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, those things, that's what everyone's invested in, man. As far as people see it, now, there's no reason not to be invested. If the present society, the way it rewards, people with so-called greatness or success is through the left-hand side means, man. By basically doing things that are untoward, doing things that are completely against the scriptures, moving suspect as hell, and basically just thinking about your own, putting yourself above and beyond anything else, then that's meant to be how you get ahead. But hey, doing so, then you're basically putting yourself putting yourself behind, man. You don't realize you're bringing destruction upon yourself. That's why you have all these people that get fame and success, then they'll get hooked on drugs, they'll get all kinds of messed up lifestyles, they'll be bugged out. Why? The things that are needed to be done to gain it are degenerate, and then even when you get it, it's not really on any kind of level.
No, okay, guys, let me read it. Proverbs 16:4, the Lord has made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. And right now we're in the time of Job 9:24, where it tells you the world is given into the hand of the wicked. So the present rulers over this earth, the way you understand who it is, you go to Malachi, the first chapter, and it tells you about Esau being the wicked, alright? So basically Esau today is known as he's remade, reconfigured, he's reimagined himself, and he's calling himself the so-called white man, because the word white basically alludes to purity, alright? But it's as it says, covered from the face of the judge, if not wearing wisdom. Alright? So this time is basically a time of evil. You're subscribing to the things of the world, just subscribing to an evil that ultimately is going to manifest its time in the time of the end, which we're presently in. Alright? So let me carry on with this. 1 John 2:17. And the world passed away, and the lust thereof. keep shall save his life, and he that tries to keep his life shall lose it, basically. So the point being that basically you're gonna have people that dare into the rules of the world in hopes that they're gonna be able to keep their life. The funny thing is they're gonna learn the hard way that they lose, right? You got something?
Yeah. Second Peter 3 and 3, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts. And that's really the theme, like the Bible said, the theme of this age, right? The theme of this present time is walking after your own lusts, indulging in the world, getting as much, good times and pleasures from it. Which, hey, that's what, as far as it seems, that people don't really seem to see the downside. The funny thing is as well, that's also because it's become normalized for you to get up in age and you get dementia, cancer, all form of diseases are just being heaped upon you. Where you go back a few hundred odd years, a lot of these things weren't around or on a way lower level. And in the present time, a lot of the things that are meant to keep you in good health and sustain you, those things have been basically done away with, man. Especially when you deal with the food, a lot of things in the food, the nutrients, the things that are meant to basically sustain you, they're not really dealt with. A lot of the food is garbage, there's no nutrients and nothing to gain from it. And then now you've got where it's gone even further and it's purely artificial. That's the same thing. On a moral level, people are moving with completely degraded morals. There's all kinds of wiped out shit happening. This is why I don't know how it is to every rock you turn up, there seems to be a pedophile ring behind it. Yeah. That says, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? And since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. And that's, they're looking at it like, since we heard the word, ain't nothing happened, man. Everything's cool, everything's chill. I just got married, I'm having my first kids. Everything's good, man. The business is doing well. My investments are looking like they're going to last me well into my retirement. Like, what do I have to worry about, or why should I be needing these profits? But that's the thing, it'll be too late for when that correction comes. That's how it's going to be. No.
Alright, it's the book of 1 Corinthians 7 and 29. For this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. That's the point, verse 31. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. And that's what we're in the midst of, the fashion of this. Hey, just like take the fashion industry. Quite recently we had London Fashion Week over here. As in operation with the seasons, right? You always have a fashion week. And that fashion week presents what? The latest trends. True to the word fashion. So if you know anything about the trends, it's like one trend coming in, another trend coming out. So, for example, no one ain't walking around wearing, let's go back to Victorian style. What was that? The frocks. Like the ones with the cake. You know what I'm talking about. Going back to I don't know what they're called either. But no one ain't walking around wearing that. Why? Because it's out of fashion. Right? And that's the same thing that's coming with this world. This world's about to be out of fashion. Right? A lot of people are not hip to geopolitical news right now. Right now you got they don't even know where their energy comes from. Right? They don't even know where their food comes from. They've only started to realize now because of what? The shortages in the supermarkets, right? And they're realizing, there's no HGV drivers. This song has been new years ago. Brothers have brought it out and said that, look, all the food taken to the UK, for example, all the food is imported. And imagine we're in the information age and people ain't aware of this type of knowledge. So that shows you what? That they're going to be caught unawares, all right? right? And that's leading into what the fact of his world passing away. These are all the things that the Heavenly Father outlined as part of his script, alright? For things as a show, you know, the science to let you know when these things are coming to pass. You know what I'm saying?
Matthew 8. And 21. And a number of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer. First Thessalonians 5:1, but the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh on them. And that's it. Sudden destruction, like the brother said. These things, as far as when you deal with the brothers, these things have been seen a long time off. Especially with like the shortages, with the post-Brexit fallout. These things have been plain as day, man. Plain as day. Anyone with you know, their eyes opened up, they would have basically seen like, yo, this whole situation with Brexit's not gonna work out. Because anyone that actually knows works within certain industries, you'll know there's a lot of industries where they're basically held up by people from the EU. If they're being shipped out, well, the shit's done. And that's what happened with the drivers. But people are ignorant. They don't look into things. And it's because they're basically looking to blind and deafen themselves from the reality of the world. That's why it will come for them as a shock. That's why it will come as a thief in the night. Because as far as it's like, you got a good example. There was that video of a woman who was getting robbed, and then she just like langed off, I think 2 or 3 of the guys. It was like 4 or 5 guys that were coming in to rob her. She just went, got a strap, blazed them away, man. Them guys will run now. This is a while ago. Man. No, white woman in America. She was the perfect. Blew a bunch of them guys away, man.
Killing it.
Yeah. Oh shit. Killed like 1 or 2 of them, man. It was like, and others were injured. And they were saying like, oh, home defense, blah blah blah, that whole thing. But then what? That's she was prepared for the thief. But then you have other people where it's like they'll just get caught slipping, they might just lose their shit. Or it could be a thing where they get found whilst they're in there, they get bashed over the head, and that shit gets rocked. But that's it, you have the people that are prepared. That's why you have the parable of the lamps. Yeah, conversion. There's those that trim their lamps, and those that didn't.
They had their oil. Oil contains the hour shine. So this is the time where you should come by and eat. Where you basically have the oil at the end. When you need to go in and get that lamp. Alright? Because even I went into a video yesterday dealing with the blackouts. They actually confirmed in America that they're gonna orchestrate, like they're gonna actually implement blackouts over the land of America. Because they're saying that they're going to have a short energy supply and they're going to have to revert back to using coal as a form of energy, alright? Now that's letting you know, they're basically giving a heads up to say there's going to be blackouts. But the funny thing about it is, people are none the wiser. They're not paying attention to these things. The government, right, the people in control of these companies are letting it be known the energy is going to be cut out for winter time, right? You even have politicians in America alongside with the politicians over here in the UK, where they say the winter is pretending, dark winter. They're basically letting it be known that, look, this winter time, there might not be no energy, there might not be no food. It's going to be a throwback dealing with the UK, a throwback to the time of the 1970s, dealing with the Iron Lady, right, Margaret Thatcher. So they're saying all that's coming back. And guess what? The only place it's found is in the Word. Because it tells you in Isaiah 60 that gross darkness shall cover the world. Right? And what did it say before? It says, arise, eat, and Raji and Shai, the light is coming upon you, right? Being Yahweh Shai. So we have that light, all right? But you have to have the oil in order to. How can you have the oil? I mean, how can you have the light without having the oil? Because the oil, you can trim a lamp, you can light it up. But what fuels that lamp? What allows it to keep burning? It's the oil, all right? So that's why a lot of people this winter time, all right, they're gonna find themselves in a hard, between a rock and a hard place. But guess what? Even more so, continue on to the time of the end, they're gonna find themselves in compromising positions. And they're gonna bend the knee and bow down and kiss the ring of Esau, this devil, so white man. And basically, what? Do whatever he says. But then they're gonna realize this guy has no good intentions for them.
Basically, at that point, that's the thing. It's the same thing with lockdowns. People are willing to do any and everything to escape from it. They don't want to deal with any form of hardship. They're like, yo, basically let us be at peace, man. Whatever we need to do, just do it so that we can go back to how life was. And that's and it's even like now that it's been done, people are still bugging out, man. Still not like oh, they're still like, nah, worried about masks, worried about, people being too close, all these different things. These things that didn't even work. That's, they're still bragging their minds about these things. But why? This has been planted in their minds, man. That's the thing. They're like the things they're paying attention to. It's just what they've been what they've been programmed to worry about. And that's why. That's even why like what you call it? Neuralink. These kinds of technologies. And they're basically putting people onto it and saying there's a thing of treatment where it's either linked to, the juice linked to these shots, or it's linked to, what's it called? People that have, decayed, like nervous systems and whatnot, where they're saying, okay, put this in their brain and they'll be
disabilities.
Disabilities, they can communicate and blah, blah, blah. It's either being done for these reasons and it's been pushed. Then it wider application, people are just more normalized to it. And that's how it's going to be with the corona. It's just going to be like presented like, hey, this is a thing.
Great solutions for your problems.
Yeah, it's a soothing bomb.
I've got something.
I got a bit more. So 1 Thessalonians 5:3. But when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye brethren are not in darkness, that their day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Yeah, that's we're basically like the brother said. We've got that light. He said, well, when someone has a light, you don't hide it under a bushel. You basically shine it above. That's what we're really doing. We're shining the light on all these practices, all these plans, all these things that are getting ready to take place, all these prophecies within this realm. That's really what we're doing. And you don't really have people doing that. Other than us, other than the prophets, a lot of people are out there teaching, but they're teaching falsely. That's the other thing. Lies are being taught as well.
Matthew 5:14. Ye are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in a house. Let your light.
You're shining a light. You're not going to shine a light when you have you know how a table. They put the light under. You're going to get a lamp and stick it under a table so that no one's getting light. You utilize it so you can actually see what you're doing, man. So you spread it as far as possible, and that's I was going to say earlier as well. The internet, man. That's really what's allowed the light to shine out for the whole world. When you deal with this word, it's really the internet that's made it go global, man. And that's one of the greatest tools. That's a unicorn. The word's gone out. But then as well, that's why when you go to how it was prior to the internet, the conventional lines of how information got out, through the TV, through radio, through newspapers, those things were owned and run by people with agendas. And now you've got the internet where basically anyone can say what they want to say and put their message out there. These things become an issue. And that's how they're using the situation with this CV19, where now they're like, oh, okay, well, this, X, Y, Z, people saying certain things become an issue. So we're going to now have to be like, okay, we're going to clamp down on this. If you say certain things, we're just going to dun the whole channel. We're not going to allow you to talk about this. We're not going to allow you to talk about that. And these things are really being used, what? For the word. Because why? This thing's going out. Suddenly it's a terror.
Verse 16, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So yeah, basically like the brother mentioned, with the internet, the use of the internet to basically push out this word to the four corners. And ultimately, it's one of two things. It's either for the awakening of the elect, set a seal, a mark of exemption, right, when the destruction comes, or it's some put a mark on the destruction of them, right? One of two things, all right, either or. But ultimately, to round it all off, is to let the Heavenly Father's word be pushed out to the whole earth so everyone knows what's going to happen prior to it being established upon the earth. And that's what we're in the midst of right now. We're in the midst of the word being pushed to the pinnacle, right, and them using deception as a form of, saying that, okay, we're going to remove the internet, or we're going to make access towards the net filtered through these different means. So basically, what's happening? The prophecy of Amos, where it says a famine for the hearing of the word, where this word ain't going to be out there the way it is right now. Right at the time, and that time where a noise is going to be, a shout is going to be heard at midnight, and basically the wise and the foolish virgins are basically going to awake to it and have to bring out their lamps in hopes that we'll be able to stand that great day, right? I've got something.
Isaiah 61.
Oh no, yeah, you're not going. No.
Isaiah 61, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. Yeah. So the light of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai has arisen upon those of his elect men, which Lord willing would be of that number. And then what? The flip side to that is that everyone else is shrouded in darkness. Because that's what you presently have. That's why it's a thing of, you go back to Isaiah 29, where it says about the angels sent out with the job of blinding Israelites to the truth. Why? Because either they see with their eyes and listen with their ears and convert and be healed.
I suppose that's why
it's basically about
he's qualified to run it.
keeping those that aren't meant to get until after the second death. They basically will be kept in that state. That's why you have a mass amount of darkness. Because as well, even those people in the world are going to know the truth. Because they're going to be like, yo, these are the sons of the living power. They're going to know.
Hosea the first chapter.
Yeah,
that's the prophecy.
Yeah.
In the land where we put to shame, there shall be known with the children of living power. Because right now, guess what? We're fulfilling Deuteronomy 28 and 46, I believe, coming a proverb and a byword in the sea. Alright? Where basically everyone looks at us as niggers, spits, basically the lowest people within society. Alright? But that's being done for what? Fulfillment of prophecy. Those things are on you as a sign and a wonder. Basically it proves who we are, right? But we're gonna get fame, right? But at the same time, it's gonna be known that there's gonna be a time where we're gonna basically be pointed out as the bad guys. But as well, the enemy says, when the enemy cometh in as a flood, then shall the heavenly Father. Then what does it say? When the enemy cometh in as a flood, then shall basically raise up a standard against it, right? To But the Heavenly Father's gonna do work his work spirit, man. I'm gonna say magic, but really spirit.
Yeah, that's what yeah, come on. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and is safe. Yeah. So that's basically what where we're looking for. That's the bulwark we have against all Esau's machinations. Because otherwise, and this is why as well. This is part of that real stuff. People basically looking at it like, yeah, why are you even in the disco? You can't do anything. These men can just end it whenever you want. Like,
Well, that's completely.
and that's Jake with those faithless Jakes. They're in the darkness, man. They don't know. They can't see that there's a way for Esau to be confounded. Because his words were written. That's the thing. For those that have the gift of his word, you can tell the words already confounding Esau. He can only run from it. That's why he just basically kills off mention of the truth in the algorithm, and then just promotes BS, man.
And that's why when you go in certain, there may be certain, I'm thinking about it, certain piece of information I came across a couple of years ago, and I went to go back, like dig it back up again. And guess what? When I've gone to find it now, it's totally been altered. Now, why would it be altered if there was no strength in it? The reason why it's been altered because there's power in it, right? So when these things are known to the people that they don't want these things to be known to, guess what? It's empowering to them, right? And it's a loss of power on their part. So that's why they're doing all the manipulation of history, news, right? All the filter, everything's being filtered through a filter, basically, all right? And he's doing this because he knows the power. Even the thing I'm talking about is very powerful in terms of bolstering my faith, all right? So that's why we removed and said, nah, we can't have this out. Because him having something like that in his arsenal is only going to allow him to move forward.
It's like the Apocrypha.
But yeah.
It was removed intentionally. They were like, okay, this is just too damning to line up who Esau Edom is, man. That's why. It's all about. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times.
We're in the information age. That's what a lot of people fail to realize. We're in a time known as the information age. The actual, when you go to the US military, the biggest military on earth, the reason why I say that is because they spend most of it, they beat the first 18 countries or so in military spending. Right? That's how much they spend on that sword, that blessing. Because they understand that's how they get their power. Alright? But guess what? They've extended their new warfare into what? Cyber warfare. And they're saying it's to do with information, hacking into other systems, and basically taking away data and manipulating it for themselves. So that shows you that everything is on a information plane. And so much so, even now you have the manosphere, as it's known today, red pill, all that type of stuff. I was watching Roommates. He had Hafiz. He basically mentioned that there's gonna come. He said that the thing that happened with Facebook, alright, the shutdown of Facebook, not Snapchat, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Basically, he said that this is gonna become a time. There's gonna become a time where he said he can see there's gonna come a time where no one can talk about this manosphere stuff. They're gonna be railroaded. He said even now I can't speak certain things because he's saying us on YouTube. They take away from my ability to make money. So one month I make $5 grand, the next minute I make 2. Because why? I mentioned something that they're not in agreement with that goes against the community guidelines. So they take it away from them. And then they're like, well, we have to go by the rules that they offer. So that's a big change in our pocket. But you can see this is a ripple effect. Everything to deal with the Heavenly Father's word. Anything that kind of titters on
Anything that goes against the agenda.
that's the best way to put it.
It's really about the agenda. Because that's the thing. It's like certain things like Alex Jones and certain troopers, certain of these guys, they'll get prominence. That's why they're basically being used to gather together all those the people that are going to be against the agenda to basically get details and understand how these people are going to behave, man.
So they can better manipulate their system.
Because that's what you had. You had a leak of the FBI basically asking people, asking Google to basically check for people that search certain search terms, and then do it basically arresting people off their search history. So that's why it's like these things. That's why you have the whole conflict about privacy and information and your searches. You had it started with like Facebook selling information to like Cambridge Analytica and all these other places, to give like target ads or to basically try and promote certain things to people. And now you got it where it's being used in criminal investigations as well. Where it's like if you might search certain things, they're saying like, yo, you can just get grabbed up based on that. And that's going to be used against brothers in the truth. Because when they start demonizing, they can say, okay, well, we searched this, we went on these channels, we watched these videos, and all that information's there. And that's why you have the whole privacy thing, where they don't really want people able to keep their own, their own things private. But that's what, this is the thing, is people have the utmost faith in these things anyway. People believe like, there's even if they're not working in our favor, they're like, our government wouldn't let them do blah blah blah. But then it's that same government that's working against you. These guys are utilizing these things, to control you and to get what they want from the situation. Because we read on, it says, Isaiah 60:2, for behold, darkness shall cover the earth and gross darkness the people. But the Lord Yahweh shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. So it's whilst this is the thing, it's separate in line between like the brother mentioned, like all that manosphere stuff, between even all these truthers. We have the whole truth, man. We have that perfect truth. So we have the ultimate defense, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua in our corner. And that's the means by which we're going to overcome this. Because otherwise, it's those people, they're trying to utilize the systems of the world to try and combat it. That's the same thing, like you mentioned the roommates talking about money. Those guys are on YouTube. Once you're making money from it, then you're basically, because you're either going to have to do a certain way or only mention certain things off the platform or whatever. So then you're going to have to deal with how they offer. Same thing with a 501c3 job. Where if you're taking that 501c3, you get the tax exemption, then okay, because you're making money, not having to pay those taxes, you're then not allowed to say certain things, or you've got to teach certain things. Then you're compromised, and that's and the money is the big way of how Esau gets his way. That as well, actually, nice one.
Isaiah 33:5. The Lord Yahweh is exalted, for he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Zion with judgment and righteousness. Verse 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time, and the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord, Yahweh, is his treasure. So I told you in Proverbs 1 that the beginning of wisdom, fear is the fear of the Lord, basically. So having a fear present within you is basically going to allow you to unlock the Pandora's box, so to speak, wisdom. And in having that, that's what's going to allow you to maneuver through these times. But guess what? The trick is, that's why I read verse 5. It said within Zion, right? Zion pertains to who? The Israelites, right? As they're known today, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which is and the descendants of Israel scattered all throughout the earth, right? That pertains unto them, but not only them, but it specifically pertains to who? The elect of the nation of Israel. That's why in the book of Romans it tells you they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. So this is something that happened now is basically going to allow you to maneuver through the time to come. Because this is a time where a lot of people they got no clue what's about to happen, man. They're saying there's going to be blackouts in winter time. Now, it's interesting enough, Channel 4 is like Channel 4 unlocked the key for everything over here in the UK, Channel 4. But going back to about 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 14, for about 7 years or so, they kept feeding you dystopian TV programs, right? Maybe 2 episodes, maybe a couple seasons. And what did they go into? They went into depth of various situations dealing with a dystopia basically. Now, one of the series I want to go into is dealing with the blackout. Came out in 2013, 2 episodes, I believe. Now those 2 episodes, they basically show a blackout in the UK or in London, and it basically shows you that people, you know, how it naturally came to play, where everyone was kind of like, oh shit, you know, the lights have gone out. I just thought like, you know, it's cool. Then they've looked out the window, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, and they're looking at us like, fuck, the whole city's gone out basically. So now they say, I need some food or whatever, let me go and get my, or whatever, they've gone to the ATM, cash machine, saying like I'm American, gone to the cash machine, to go and withdraw some cash. Guess what, they can't do it, there's no electric. Now this is even more funny because a lot of people right now are feeding into cryptocurrency, but even more so, you have the banks now coming out with central base digital currency. So now everything's making a transition into the digital world, right? So why do I mention this, right? Why are you seeing streaming now as a big thing within the world? No one has DVDs no more. No one has CDs no more. They all got they pay a subscription fee for streaming services, all right? The reason why I'm mentioning this is because basically you don't own nothing. You have no ownership of nothing. You have access to a platform that allows you to basically rent this information for a certain period of time. So basically you are living hand to mouth basically.